Employee N. What is N? Yes, Nikhil is right. So a small point to be noted. Raghuram, you are also right. But the variable object name should always begin with a small letter. That is the first point. I'm unhappy with the new keyword, new being used as the object name. Okay, you can use EMP, all small letters. Okay, and use some meaningful names. Okay, you are right, but the variable name or object name, I'm not happy. That makes me a little happy. But Nikhil's second message is right. Okay, can you correct your message and send me, Raghuram? Okay, that's right, Raghuram. Okay, you can use any name. So let me show you here. Make it a little. I hope I'm sharing. Yes, I'm sharing. Right. So employee EMP equal to new employee. This is how all these days you were creating the object, right? So who used to create the object? We used to create, or the coding people or the developer. Java developer used to create this particular object employee, and we were able to get the all the methods. Employee dot, if you give, all methods were accessible. Public methods, whatever you were able to see all the methods, right? Now we have to start thinking slightly different way of creating the objects. Okay, that is what is Spring framework. So what is Spring framework? So basically, Spring framework creates objects. Basically, it helps us to create objects. Developer this time, he is not going to create the object. Who is going to create our objects? The framework. Okay. So what is Spring framework, you might ask me. Hold on with that question. So just think of, it is a framework for creating objects. So what they use is, they use an XML file, and this XML file creates the objects. Okay, creates the objects of whatever you want, it will create. So now the Spring framework says, no, developer, your work is only to write the logic of the code. Don't create the objects. I will create the object and give it to you. Use the object the way you want. That is what is telling the Spring framework. Okay, so this is the main purpose. Let me highlight this, of creating the objects through an XML file. This is the purpose of our Spring framework. This is what is all about Spring framework. Okay, how, what, where, when, all that we will answer. Okay, so one thing to be noted here is, we are able to create the objects using our Spring framework. Developer will not create. Only we will give all the details in an XML file. So how many of you are familiar with the XML file? Raise your hand. Nobody? Okay. So in that case, what is an, how many of you are familiar with HTML? Is anyone familiar with HTML? Nikhil, okay. And then Raghuram, HTML you are familiar? Not even HTML. Okay, so I will give you little familiarity with HTML and XML, then we can go ahead with the XML. Okay, so just to tell you some information about the XML. So let me show it here. I will. Okay. So basically we have XML file which will contain tags. Okay, different tags will be there. So for example, I want an element tag, or say for example, I want a tag for training. You can create a training tag, training language, and give the variable name language, LUANGEE. You can put the double quotes, you can use Java. Okay, and then we need to close this particular training tag. Okay, this is the training tag, language equal to Java, and then we need to close this particular tag. So what is this tag? Which is in the angle, the opening tag, closing tag. So this is the opening tag and this is my closing tag. So how do you close it? Just put a slash in front of it and that becomes a closing tag. So XML contains our own tags, whereas HTML has specific tags. So HTML will be like this. Okay, so that is all about the XML. So for example, HTML code, if you have to write, you have to be specific. HTML, then body, it will have in the next line, it will have some body. Okay, body, body of the body contents you can write, you can keep some text and all that. Then you when you are done, you have to close the body, slash body you have to close, and then we need to even close the tag that are open. It's the must that in XML or in HTML we need to close the tags. So for example, HTML is the tag which needs to close. This is the HTML format, this particular thing. XML is nothing but we can define our own tags. That is the difference. Okay, extendable markup language, and we can use our own tags here. Okay, and sometimes what could happen is we can write even like this. Okay, training is there, no? The same thing you can write it like this, training, and you can give the lang variable name, value, and then you can keep your you're having the opening tag here, and this is the value that it takes. For closing, you can just close it this way also. Okay, only this is also enough sometimes. This is all about the XML details. So XML will contain lot of such tags. Fine. That is, this basic understanding is enough. So how do you define these basic tags? There is a schema. Okay. Tags and schema will be there. Schema is nothing but a structure. How the XML will be placed. What are the different tags? There will be a tree structure. So training, under the training there could be one more tag. Under that there could be another tag. So this way we can have different tags and it will create a structure using the particular schema. Okay. So this is the basic information about the XML files. So in our Spring framework, we will be using the XML file and we will be creating the objects of Spring framework. This is the basic idea of Spring. So now let's go ahead and understand a little bit on Spring. Not here. So previous to Spring, what used to happen is we have something called a servlet and JSP. But you can still skip these two topics because it is not mentioned as part of the your things. So without even learning the servlet and JSP, I will go ahead with the new technologies. Okay? These are the new technologies, and if you grasp, if you uh, digest these particular technologies, then you are the person, the hot cake of the market. Okay, so we have basically Spring Boot as a new technologies. Okay, and then these are the just JSP things. In Spring we have Spring Core, Spring MVC, Spring AOP, all that parts are there, different parts. We will be learning as part of Spring framework. And then in Spring Boot also, Spring Boot is also another new technology, and it is an extension for the Spring framework with a lot of things ready made for you. Here everything you have to do, everything you have to do the configuration, but they have eliminated those steps in the Spring Boot. Everything is ready made. Okay, this is like going to a mall and buying the dress. This is like going to the tailor and buying the dress. And we have REST APIs, get, post, delete, request. These we will be learning. Then microservices will do, and then a small project we will create on school management or any other project. Okay, so fine. So what I will give you, I will give you a small and people, you have to take an assessment. Okay, for you guys. So today we will just start, and uh, we will stop at some point, but then we will plan for an assessment for Wednesday. Should be good. Are you guys okay with Wednesday assignment? Assessment, sorry, not assignment.
Okay.
Okay. I will send a message. I might ask any of you to write a program and all that. Okay, just give me a moment. I'll post a message. Okay, fine. So, okay. So Spring Framework says I will be using an XML and I will create an object and give it to you. Okay, that is the what is Spring Framework. Okay, we will understand more on Spring Framework. Okay, okay. So in Spring Framework, we have basically these terms are very frequently used. So it is a nothing. Okay, don't worry about these terms. Just they are the base. They are whatever we used to do. It is the same thing, but they give some specific design patterns. Okay, design patterns are nothing but they are the um, they are the standard solutions, and they give the standard solutions for standard problems. So if I have a leaking tap, then change the tap. That is a standard solution. Okay, that is what is a design pattern. So dependency injection is all about, we will learn about this. Just keep these words, keywords in your mind. So dependency injection or DI is one of the important concepts. Inversion of control. First we will learn about inversion of control. Okay, and then spring beans, annotations, and bean life cycle, and spring configuration file, which will be an XML file. Okay, so here let me ask you a question. What are annotations? I already had mentioned this term in our core Java. What are annotations? Give me example, explain it, whatever. Annotations. No one knows? No one remembers? What is a tag override in inheritance? So basically, in our Spring framework there are two ways. Okay, we can configure and we can create an object either by using an XML, or we can also create object creates objects. Mark it with create objects using annotations. Both ways we can do. Okay, whichever is easy or whichever is applicable, you can go ahead with this. Those who want to do it with XML, you can use XML, or those who want to use I want to be with Java, go for annotations. Okay, they have given both the methods. So annotations are nothing but something that starts with at. What is the meaning? It gives extra information for a particular method or with the whatever is its meaning. Okay, extra information will be given using annotation. So for example, if I have to give you an example, at override you were using in whenever you want to override a method, you are using at override. It is not mandatory, but it helps us saying that we are overriding a method. It explicitly mentions, okay, it helps us to specifically say the compiler that we are trying to override this particular method. Right? So this is how we use an annotation. So in our advanced Java, we will have lot of annotations. Every code that you write, every line of code that you write, you will be following up with one or the other annotations. These are very important and they help us to create objects. So for example, there is an annotation called as @bean. Okay, bean means what? Bean, meaning of bean itself is nothing but object. @bean is nothing but create object. Ultimately, we write classes so that we can create objects and we can deal with objects. Right? So far, is it clear? Any doubts? Raghuram? Okay. So fine. Please attend, okay? Otherwise, if you miss one class, no, you will lose the link. So advanced Java is like advanced topic, so you will not catch up the things. So please be alert and please attend all the classes. Okay. So now let's go ahead and understand different things. So we have what I will be doing is first I will show you a small example regarding inversion of control or dependency injection. Then we will do Spring MVC. MVC is nothing but model view controller. Okay, we will learn this. This is web development. Okay, web development is nothing but MVC. The Spring JDBC is there, Spring ORM is there. I'll just give the information. Then Spring DAO is there, which will help us to interact with the databases and all that. Then ORM is there, object relational mapping, which will help us for Hibernate projects. AOP is there, aspect oriented programming. Spring security, Spring transaction management, Spring JMS, everything is there. I will give whatever is topics are listed as part of your PDF. So now to introduce you the Spring, today only theory I will tell you. Tomorrow we will have the hands-on. And how many of you are familiar with database? That is also important for me. Who is familiar with the database? Nikhil, Raghuram, please send yes, no. Raghuram is not familiar. Nikhil is also not familiar. Okay. Okay, fine. So what we will do, I will give just a upper layer of Spring framework today, and tomorrow, no, then we will just do a concept level of MySQL and all the database concepts. Okay, so fine. Aim of the Spring framework is not to code much. Okay, we will not write much of the code because things are done in an XML or using the annotations, and use ready-made things than writing from the scratch. Okay, not to code much is the intention of our Spring framework. Then Spring framework also says that you don't worry about constructing the objects using the new operator. Don't use the new operator, and the framework will create the object for us. Okay, so why this came up? Let me tell you. Okay, why we cannot use new and all that? Why are you asking us to go for an XML or annotation? Let me explain that part. So here what happened is, whenever an employee, you have an employee, and employee has an address. Okay, employee is linked or has a relationship with address. So for example, if I have to create an object here, employee, then since employee has an address in the constructor, what I have to do here is I have to create an address here. Address A equal to address equal to new address. Okay, so unless now if I create an employee object, okay, employee object, then I can get the employee address object also, and address will not exist without the employee. I cannot directly create address, okay, unless I create an object of employee, address will not be created. So address is dependent on employee object. Understanding? So what happens? Okay, I will just complete this. So then only address will object is created. If you do this line, address object is created. So here there's a tight coupling. Unless the employee object is created, address will not be created. So this line has tight coupling. Tight coupling is there, because of which supposing tomorrow you have to create one more object or you want to remove the address, then address and employee, they will become like dangling. It will not point to anything. Okay, and address without employee, address will not have any meaning. So there is a tight coupling, and we don't want tight coupling. To make the changes, everything need to be independent of each other. One object cannot be dependent on another object. So it is the wrong way of doing the things, and maintenance will become costlier in this such a case. So we will go for something called as loose coupling. Okay. So it is like saying you want to go for a movie and you have booked the tickets, but you are dependent on your friend. Unless your friend comes, you don't want to go to a movie. Okay, so supposing your friend drops, then you won't be able to go for the movie, but you are interested to go for the movie. So that is tight coupling. You are dependent on your friend, so that becomes a tight coupling. And then if you have a group of people, then even if one person drops, it does not matter much to you, and you can still go for the movie. That is the concept of loose coupling. Things should be separate things, then it will become loose coupling. Okay, so that this loose coupling is achieved by Spring framework. That is one good point about the Spring framework. Okay, loose coupling can be achieved by Spring framework. When you use the new keyword here, wherever, then it becomes tight coupling. If you don't use the new keyword, then it becomes loose coupling, is what Spring framework believes. Okay, and this is very effective framework also. So they came up saying that now you don't worry about worrying about the constructing of the object using the keyword new, I will construct the object and give it to you. You can use the things. So one of the person, Rod Johnson, he in 2003 he developed the Spring framework for easy development of advanced Java or JEE. Advanced Java or concept is called as Java Enterprise Edition, and this is mostly related to web development applications, web-based applications, and performing all the database involved applications in Java EE applications. Okay. Rod Johnson, he was the one who introduced the Spring framework, and it made our life much simpler in web development or Java EE, and it is helpful for both beginners and experienced persons. So what is Spring Framework? Basically, it is a lightweight framework, and it is a framework of frameworks because our Java is itself one framework. On top of Java, they are writing the Spring code. Okay, so that is the reason it is framework of frameworks, and it provides support for all the things like Hibernate, EJB, and then JSF, JavaScript. Okay, no, it is something. Okay, EJB, structs, all the frameworks it provides support, and it has its own nice way of creating lightweight components as well as loose coupling. The framework in broader sense can be defined as a structure where we can find solution for various technical problems. Then what is there in this framework? These are all the different modules, parts. Okay, different parts are there. Spring IOC, AOP, DAO, context, ORM, web, MVC, etc. And we will learn this in the next upcoming sessions, and we will learn first what is IOC. Okay, and then dependency injection, then it will become very easy with all the rest of the concepts. So IOC is nothing but inversion of control. So what happened here, we were focusing now only on the Java code, right? All this time we were focused on Java code, but now our focus from Java code will change to XML file. Okay, basically IOC and dependency injection are two design patterns. They are the standard solutions for standard problems, and they are used to remove the dependency from the code, like tight coupling. They help us to remove tight coupling dependency. One object is dependent on another object, so we can remove such a kind of dependency using the inversion of control and dependency injection. They make the code much easier, and testing also becomes much easier. Maintenance will obviously become much easier. So I will stop at this point. I explained about what is tight coupling. Okay, so here a class employee is there. If I want to create an employee address object, then it becomes that I have to create an employee object, then only address will be created. Okay, this is called as tight coupling. Whereas in loose coupling, what will happen? I can pass address here and I can assign the value. This dot address is called. This becomes loose coupling. Okay, this is a particular scenario where we can achieve inversion of control by passing a reference. Object reference, it becomes a loose coupling. So we will have a look at this. IOC makes the loose, in using IOC, it becomes loosely coupled, and in such a case there is no need to modify the code if our logic is removed from new environment. So if you want to make some changes, it will become much more easier. Okay, so let me stop at this point before even I go ahead with the further concepts. IOC, and then okay, I have few things. Okay, I will complete these things. Tomorrow I will show you the hands-on things. So IOC is nothing but in Spring Framework, IOC container is responsible for injecting the dependency. So this will be like blank for you. Don't worry about that. We will wait for coding part, then you will understand. Okay, we provide the metadata of the IOC container to an XML file or annotation. So this is important. IOC is nothing but referring to an XML file or an annotation, that you remember. Okay, and dependency injection, why we have? Because we want to achieve loose coupling. and also testing, maintenance, everything will become easy. Using IOC and dependency injection, all our code will be very easy to maintain. So what are the different advantages of Spring? Able to follow? This is just an introduction class, so no need to worry. When we learn the things on the code, then it will become much easier. Just remember these keywords. That is enough for this class. Dependency injection, inversion of control, that we use annotations. That is enough. Okay. Nikhil. Okay. So what are the advantages of a Spring framework? I'll tell you. What happened? So there are many predefined things in our Spring framework. So we have something called as Spring JDBC to connect to the database, and then we have Hibernate framework, we have JPA, different technologies are there, and we can write the code for Spring framework without much effort. Okay, and then you need to write for expression handling. Okay, I need to write the code for the query. Okay, this is fine. You will not understand this. Loose coupling is achieved using the Spring framework, and then the Spring applications are loosely coupled because of dependency injection. That's fine. These are some references. Okay, we will understand different modules, different parts here. Spring AOP, Spring Aspects, JDBC is there, ORM is there, JMS is there, and web development is there, and Spring Core Container is there. All these things are there. Okay, and then, yeah. So there is one framework which is called as testing framework, and it will help us to create test cases, JUnit, everything it will take care. That is the part of the Spring framework testing. Spring Core Container. Okay, Spring Core Container means it is a container which will help us to create objects. So it has beans. Beans is nothing but creating the object. Context. Context is nothing but using the context. XML. XML is itself called as context. Using the context, we can create the beans. Then expression language. One language is there specific to Spring, and you can use this expression, Spring expression language. So this is about the Spring Core Container. Core and beans. Okay, core means it helps us. This is the core part. Beans means it create the objects for us, and it involves IOC and dependency injection. Context means this module supports internal basic remoting, JMS, and all. It is also part of XML. Just understand it's an XML file. Okay, as of now. So these are some of the things. I will send these slides in the chat box. Hold on, for your reference, so that I don't forget the things. This is the first one, then this is the second one, this is the third one. Okay, these are all the materials. Please download them, keep it for your reference. And then Spring Boot also I have. Hibernate I will also send. Spring Boot I will send first. Hold on. Spring Boot I will update and send. Okay, Spring Boot I will not send now. Okay, keep these things. Fine. Okay. Now what I will do here is download them, keep it safely for your later reference. So tomorrow what we can plan is I want some database concepts. Okay. What do you people know about what is a database basically? Because that way thing which it is very important. So basically a database is nothing but which can store some information. When there is a huge amount of information, we can directly save it in a database. So for example, we can have a student database. What and all can you save in a student database? Can you tell me?
Name, roll number,
Name you can store, register number or roll number you can save. Then what else?
class,
Yeah, subjects, class,
marks.
marks, all this information you can store. So you can tell me, like, supposing there are 10,000 students, okay? Supposing I have 10,000 students, then maintaining an Excel sheet will become very difficult. I can always go for an Excel sheet, but maintenance will become very difficult in case of an Excel sheet. So that is the reason what we have is the concept of database. Usually we represent database this way. So this is the database and we will put all this information into the database. So what are the operations that one can do on a particular database? First of all, whenever a new student comes up, what I have to do? I have to add that student. So this operation of adding the student is called as add new information. If you want to add the new information, we call it as insert operation. Insert new information to the database. Insert. Okay, if you want to delete, one student has got dropped, then we use delete. Remove any information or any data. Okay. Then some student has changed his address, phone number, then go for the update. Okay, updates particular information. It's if you want to make some changes, update is used to update the changes. Okay, insert, delete, update, and CRUD select. Okay, so select is nothing but you want to see or display all information. Display information. Then we use the select operation. So these are the four important operations on any particular database that we want to do. So insert means we want to add a new information to the database. Delete means you want to delete, it is no more required, so I want to delete it. And then update means you want to make some changes and you can make using the update statement. Select means you want to display some information. All these are the basic operations on any database that you take. These are the four operations that we will be working. Okay, so now you can go through. I will send you links. You can go through and